What's going on, Ambitious Vet? Welcome to episode number 50 of the Ambitious Vet Show with 20-year Army National Guard veteran, Director of HR for First Choice Delivery, and Program Manager of Operations Supply Drop's brand new program, Boots to Books, Barry Engelhardt. Welcome to the Ambitious Vet, where we believe if you desire more, you have to become more. My name is Chris Hoffman, Marine combat veteran turned passion-driven entrepreneur. On this show, I dive into the trenches with today's top military veteran thought leaders and influencers who know what it takes to not only pay the bills after the military, but really make an impact. You will hear their stories, their failures, and golden grenades to empower you to execute on what matters most in your life. Are you ready to dive into the trenches with some of the guests inside of this podcast? Are you ready to actually start diving into the trenches with veterans that are action takers, high performers just like you out there in the trenches? Guys, I invite you to come over to the Ambitious Vet Tribe on Facebook, where we have over 560 ambitious vets right now. And the best thing about it is right now is we just launched a new giveaway called the Ambitious Vet March to 1,000, where it's a gamified game where how to win is to invite, collect, win. What are you going to win? Over $450 plus giveaways to empower your next mission. A couple of the prizes. One is all access pass to the Military Influencer Conference. That's a 2-day event with keynote speeches, breakout sessions, and workshops, guys, really just to supply you with the networking, the gaining the new practical knowledge, and rubbing shoulders with some of the top thought leaders and military influencers internationally, all in one roof. Talk about narrowing your time gap in your next mission. That is the place to be. Completely free ticket in your hands. That's going to be September 8th through the 10th. The second prize, along with a few others, is going to be the Rollers game. Rollers game is designed, it's a yard game designed to really just inspire people to unplug, have fun, and create positive, memorable experience. It's a shift between bowling, golf, and bowshoe ball. I've played it at the Rose Bowl with a few other ambitious vets, and I got to tell you guys, it is unbelievably fun, and it keeps you guessing every chance you get, guys. I want you to get more details on the Ambitious Vet March to 1,000 as we start building our momentum to really explode this whole movement of veterans that desire more and are going to do what it takes to become what they need to accomplish their next mission. Does that sound like you? I'll see you over there at the Ambitious Vet Tribe on Facebook.
Hey, this is Steven, host of Knucklehead Podcast, and you're listening to the Ambitious Vet Podcast with Chris Hoffman.
What's going on, Ambitious Vet? Well, before we go ahead and introduce Barry Engelhardt, guys, I'm excited about this one because he pours his heart out in this interview around getting out after 20 years, completely feeling emasculated, and figuring out what it took to really find his next mission in life. And he does a very good job, just really breaking it down to practical steps that all of us can implement for becoming who we need to be to attract the opportunities that excel our life, excel our happiness, and all that. And guys, Barry has been one of the single fundamental pillars of this tribe, this movement, really growing as fast as it has. He was one of the first ever editors of the best-selling ebook 10 Steps to Predictive Success Out of the Uniform, which you can find on Amazon. $10 value. If you email me in the show notes below, I'll just send it to you for free, because I believe that ebook really does make an impact. And I mean, it went bestseller within 24 hours in 3 categories. So I mean, veterans are saying the same thing. But guys, Barry was one of the fundamental people that have that book go very successful. And I'm proud to say that Barry, since 2016, has completely blown his life up and is attracting amazing opportunity in his life. And he is the very embodiment of what we believe in here in the Ambitious Vet Tribe. So who is Barry? Barry is an HR director for First Choice Delivery and program manager for Operations Supply Drop's Boots to Books program, where he intersects two of his biggest passions. One, assisting transitioning veterans and personal and professional growth through literature. He also is a veteran who is in the process of retiring out of the Army National Guard after 20 years of service in the infantry. He obtained his MBA from Southern Illinois University and his Senior Certified Professional Certification from the Society of Human Resources Management. He's also married and lives in good old St. Louis, Missouri, where he and his wife spend most of their time chasing after the 3-year-old and 1-year-old sons. It was a brilliant conversation. I know you're going to enjoy it. Grab your pen and paper, get locked and loaded, and let's dive into the trenches with Barry Engelhardt. All right, so we got Barry Engelhardt on The Ambitious Vet. Let's go ahead and dive into the trenches. Barry, welcome to the Ambitious Vet Show.
Good to be here. Thanks.
Yeah, man, it's definitely an honor to have you on here, man. As I just said inside of the introduction, I mean, you were one of the people at the very beginning of the whole Ambitious Vet movement becoming what it was. You're one of the first ever pillars towards not only making me sound better than how I really am, but I mean, bro, you've been one of the staples in the ground that's create a solid foundation for the ebook going bestseller, and just really having you be there for this whole movement and our team to bounce ideas off, man. We're excited to get your message out. So just thank you really for being here. Okay.
Oh, it was great to do it. I mean, I studied writing in college, and it's something I don't get to do that often. I've actually put an offer out before saying if there's a veteran out there that's working on a book that needs editing, that needs a reader, I'm always willing to do something like that. I will enjoy it. So anyone in your tribe that has any sort of similar things, please send them my way, make an introduction.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. It really came together for you. And you're a St. Louis boy, which I love, man. You got the simple values that drive your everyday life. So, but let's go ahead and dive into the trenches, man. Tell us about your transition story and how you found traction.
To be honest, it was really rough. And I had a lot of things going for me that your typical veteran does not. I've been in the National Guard for 20 years, so I've always had a foot in the private sector. I was laid off kind of unexpectedly, thought I knew a lot, was looking at this like I'm a veteran. I've got my MBA. I've got 10 years of operations experience. This will be simple. Now, part of the problem was the recession, but I think the biggest problem was me. I mean, I didn't know what I didn't know. And at first, at least, I wasn't learning what I needed to know. I was just following the routine in my head, basically punching a clock, putting 40 hours into trying to find a job through the interwebs. And that didn't so much work for me for quite a while.
That's awesome. So you sound like you were hooking and jabbing for a while, which I think every listener on here, and is even going to watch this inside the tribe. I mean, I think we all can relate to hooking and jabbing, trying to find the right opportunity that's going to allow us to, just feel like we're ongoing, fulfilling on our service, right? So speaking of that, how did you begin identifying your purpose out of the uniform? How did you start figuring it out?
Well, I think biggest change in my life was letting myself be a little vulnerable. I mean, I had my poor wife. We were planning a wedding at a time that all this happened. I just bought in a house, and it was a scary time, and I did not react well. I mean, I felt very demasculated, for lack of a better term, and I don't imagine, and I know in retrospect and in conversations, that she was a very strong pillar and provided a lot of support. And I really was very self-focused and very just confused. But I think the biggest transition is when I started to talk to people, started to be a little vulnerable and get past the embarrassment and just of people that saw that I was willing to do my part, try to help, talk to people and learn what they did. Just got out there and just opened myself up and started to really network. I've always been an operator. I've always had my hand in three fryers and doing this, doing that, doing the other, and I'm damn good at that. But your strength becomes your weakness when you need the other half of the coin.
Mm. Your strength becomes your weakness when you're looking for the other side of the coin. And that's a golden grenade. That's wisdom there. We call that a golden grenade, one of many that I'm sure is going to come. But brother, I mean, I just appreciate you just being completely honest, because as you know from my story, from editing the ebook and just us connecting offline here, is that, you know, I know the feeling of being emasculated. I mean, I think it's just a commonality of any veteran getting out of the uniform that is so used to serving something so bigger than themselves that when they get out, they don't have that solid ground underneath them of purpose and knowing what the next thing is to do. And it can definitely be like kind of like an identity crisis. And it sounds like that's a little bit of what happened with you, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So thanks for being completely honest. So brother, throughout that process, it sounds like, you know, you were hooking and jabbing, trying to figure out how to serve your family and stuff like that. What was the biggest failure that you learned from throughout this process of actually, you know, finding that next mission out of the uniform?
I think the biggest failure I had was just being closed off, just being too, I guess egotistical is the first word that comes to mind. I don't feel like it's the right word, but just feeling like I've got this. If I keep doing the same things, it's a numbers game and it'll play out in my favor, and just not focusing inward as opposed to taking and accepting the support I already had, as well as reaching out and finding and trusting in more supports.
Mm. Yeah, it's so brilliant, brother. Another golden grenade. I love it. And you know, ambitious vets are going to watch this inside the tribe. And if you're listening in any of the countries that you guys are listening from right here, please hear this golden grenade. Focus on the resources that are right in front of you, guys. Sometimes it's those resources that make the biggest difference. So, are you noticing the moral support? You know, your wife or a brother or a family member or even an associate that you could ask the right questions from to create more opportunity. Sometimes it's not the next big leap. Sometimes it's the next spring on the ladder. I love that. I love it. Do you have anything else to add to that, Barry?
No,
That's
I think
awesome.
we're good.
Good stuff. So, brother, one of the biggest things that we find inside this, you know, inside of our ambitious vet tribe is veterans that desire more, but don't know the first step to becoming more out of the uniform, right? Like it's just, it's something that's is challenging for us. Man, we want to feel like we're making that Superman or Superwoman impact out of the uniform. We don't know the first step towards doing it because we lack, you know, whatever we lack. So, what is the biggest challenge that you see around veterans becoming more out of the uniform?
I think it's twofold. I think one is really sometimes you got to take a step back to take steps forward. And I think everyone's quick to sprint forward. I mean, sometimes the difference between confidence and entitlement is just self-awareness.
Mm.
I mean, you've got to figure out where you're at, what you thrive at, what you don't want, and kind of channel your energy in that direction. Until you know what you're looking for, you're never going to find it. One thing I found is I was going into this looking at job recs going, I could do this, I could do that, and I could do that. Well, I probably could have, but I can't compete with somebody that has done this, this, and this. And therefore I'm walking in like, just, yeah, I can do this, I can do that, just give me the shot. And I think a lot of people are like, no, you tell us what you're looking for and we'll see if it makes sense. We're not here to do your job for you.
Mm. Yeah, I love how just straight up that is. And I think there's a lot of ambitious vets that are going to be listening to this and watching this, and even me included. I remember that was one of the biggest challenges I dealt with getting out, is I was so adapted. I felt like I could do anything. But, you know, we start realizing that other people have experience. And I was just like, experience, whatever. It's who can execute. And it is like you really do have to have the experience so you can find landmines or things or problems and, you know, figure out ways to help, you know, keep money inside of a company or find problems ahead of time versus reacting to them. And I think that's what you're hitting on, is making sure that you do have the experience, or at least building the experience in things that you're passionate about, right?
Mhm. Agreed.
Awesome. Good stuff. So, brother, I mean, you just took on a big responsibility. Our friends over at OSD, Operation Supply Drop, you took on a big project recently, man. Complete, just big deal. You're volunteering over there and launching, or currently working on launching, Boots to Books program, man. OSD is already one of the world's largest nonprofit organizations, and you're spearheading yet another project that's going to help them explode even more. Tell us more about this Boots to Books program.
Yeah, it was interesting. I got introduced to their CEO, Glenn, through a mutual connection. And we just had conversations where I'm like, where can I help? Like, I thought the end of the conversation was going to be, hey, donate $25, you'll sponsor somebody. And I would have been happy to do that. But somehow, some way, he kind of caught me off guard. We had a few conversations. And at the end of the day, he's like, you want to run this thing? And I'm like, I'll figure out how to run it after I say yes, I guess. So it's been an amazing experience. There's kind of three phases. One was before me, which was really doing a beta project, creating a buy-in. They put one very soft message out there very subtly just to see what kind of traction they get. They got amazing traction. 77 people saw like a blip basically and signed up. They went and used funds to pay for it all out of pocket, bought 77 people copies of Simon Sinek's Start With Why, Steve Dalton, who's a good friend of mine's 2-Hour Job Search. And I think that's something that brought me to it as much as anything. I looked at the books they selected and I said, they know what they're doing. These are books that veterans need to get in their hands. And I think it was more successful than they ever anticipated. The CEO actually personally emailed everyone, and over half the individuals, I'd say 80% of the people said, yes, I read both books. Over half the people said, I have either given my copy to another person, another like-minded veteran or spouse that's transitioning, or I have bought them a copy and kept my own. And so the second phase was just kind of seeing if the literary community would have buy-in. And I've been humbled and amazed. I know a gentleman, I believe, that's been on the podcast, Mark Green, has donated several books, and we already had a personal relationship with OSD. And I've had conversations with either some very well-known authors or their people, Simon Sinek, Jocko Willink, Sebastian Junger, and they've all said, yeah, this sounds like a great thing. We want to help be a part of this, get these books into people's hands that could benefit from them. So now it's kind of the final phase before we launch this thing officially and start to build that momentum. It's just figuring out, what are the supply chain and logistics struggles associated with a program that's really, by essence, it can't be scaled. I mean, we're asking a lot of these authors. We can't just say, hey, we've got 5 times more interest than we anticipated, so give us 5 times more copies. And it is a nonprofit with a tight budget. They can't just fund and buy infinite amounts of resources, even though I think everyone involved would love to do so. So now it's trying to figure out, how do we focus on getting these in the hands of people and continuing to build and grow while not leaving a lot of people that could greatly benefit out. And by this summer, our goal is to have that mystery, which probably isn't solvable, but at least maximize the best that we can, start to launch it officially, and pivot if and as needed, and as we realize what we didn't see.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned this offline, and we've been talking via email back and forth, and I just love how diligent you guys are with this, because, with OSD, I mean, they've already been in the trenches. I mean, how long has OSD been in existence, Barry?
Oh, years.
I mean,
I've known as long as I can remember.
Yeah,
I should know this. I honestly, on the top of my head, don't. But
yeah, I mean, it's been years. I mean, they started distributing, video game consoles to veterans overseas, and so they can play Call of Duty in combat, right? And gamify it all. And it's just amazing what they've been able to developed just from that. And I think they have such a great relationship with every veteran that's ever, been able to, receive the gifts that nonprofit has been able to distribute out. And I think they just have such a great connection to what veterans need, wants, and desires are. So no wonder why this program is taking off. I mean, what do you think is going to make available for ambitious vets that are listening inside of here right now? What do you think them being a part of like a Boots to Books program, what do you think that's going to make available for an ambitious vet looking to become more?
Well, first and foremost, I mean, keep an eye on the website as we continue to develop this, because we want to involve as many people as we can, and the type of people that we want are exactly the type of people that you guys have grown a community of. I mean, people that are just thriving for more and willing to put in the work to develop themselves. I will definitely, if you want to put an ad out, some sort of an offer out there, first 5 people that sign up, we'll get them some books. And start small and aim big. But definitely want to continue to grow this, to talk to like-minded people, because I mean, we don't have this figured out. We have great ideas and we see a lot of traction, but I mean, this is going to evolve over time. And just like you're doing, I mean, we envision potentially growing a community around this, and definitely not competition. It's we want everyone to benefit together.
Oh, that's awesome, man. United we rise, together we succeed, man. That's a philosophy that's it, literally in my signature of my email. And it's just like, I think collaboration is one of the biggest things that us as military veterans fail to do when we get out. We're so ingrained to work together as a team while we're in, but all of a sudden when we get out, we start competing. Not everyone, just a few people. And, ever since I've heard of OSD, since they've started this with Glenn and now you being on board and stuff like that, I mean, it's just been amazing the amount of resources that you have. And I think this one's just going to really help take it to the next level. And I love that you guys are bringing a self-improvement aspect of it to kind of where they can unplug from all those video games to, maybe get away from some trauma or whatever. Because that's what I used to use video games for. I used to use video games to kind of like numb myself to some stuff, and now really start engaging and starting to self-assess a little bit to figure out, how do I narrow the gap in that next mission out of my life? And I got to say, man, Simon Sinek's Start With Why, that's one of the best books I've ever read in my life. And I definitely encourage any ambitious vet that's listening to this or watching this inside the tribe. If you're live inside the tribe, comment below. It's time, and I'm going to get you in contact with Barry. If you're listening to the podcast, email me at choffman@vettrainingcoaching.com. I will get you connected to the right researchers so you can ingrain with one of the biggest, largest communities out there. And I know that, Barry, we were talking about how, I'm going to be contributing probably my ebook, my best-selling ebook, since you helped write it. I mean, you're part of it pretty much, right? And then I'm going to offer archives for these interviews and stuff like that to supply some content to help any way I can. So it's no competition, just collaboration.
Absolutely.
So, brother, we got a tradition here, man. We do 3 golden grenades, man. So I want to hear, what are Barry's 3 golden grenades, man, that could immediately impact any ambitious vet's life, that could really help them go from A to B a little bit quicker, more efficient, or more effectively?
Absolutely. The first thing I would want to say is people want to help people who are willing to help themselves. I think that's another aspect of Boots to Books that I was drawn to, was just the fact you have to put in the work. You have to read these books to benefit from them. I mean, it makes no sense to sign up and sit them on your bookshelf. Obviously, I mean, I studied creative writing in college. There was a point in time where I thought I was going to sit off in the mountains and write pretentious literature for a living. Life happened and things shifted. But I mean, my 2 biggest passions are transitioning veterans and just the power of the written word. So a lot of things that I say come from the books I've read. And another thing I'll say is just create a system that has small incremental changes in your life and follow it. You're not going to go from shooting a layup to slam dunking. I mean, you have to grow and develop. You introduced me back in the day to a book, The Compound Effect, which is amazing. I mean, there's so many great books out there, from Organized Tomorrow Today, The Compound Effect, Mindset, So Good They Can't Ignore You, books that, like, 2-Hour Job Search, a lot of these books create or help you establish a system. Now, you may not read it and follow that system verbatim, but tweak it, but find out what works for you and stick with it. And that way, really kind of pivoting to the third thing, is just allow that system to grow and build momentum. Because, I mean, just like your bank account or your retirement, things build and grow, and you form compound interest like that. You can't stop momentum without a lot of work, whereas just those little small things become much larger than the sum of their parts.
So good. So good, brother. I love it. And I love it. And I see actually in your future, maybe when you're an empty nester, maybe even sooner, writing a book, man, because I think you have a lot to say. I think you got tons of wisdom, and through just your 20 years of military experience, and even what you're starting to learn outside the uniform with building a program that's going to impact thousands of veterans internationally, I think you're going to have a lot to say to impact veterans or whatever audience you choose to move, touch, and inspire, brother. So how can the ambitious vet community find Barry? Where can they go to find more information around you or get connected with you?
LinkedIn, I'm kind of a subscriber to the digital minimalism concept. I would rather focus on one thing and try to do it well than spread myself too thin across the lot. LinkedIn is really what I've found to be the best medium that resonates with me. Obviously, OSD's website, they're in the process, I believe, of redesigning it, but we are osd.org, and follow the Boots to Books program and can be a part of the journey together and see it unfold.
It's awesome. Yeah, I definitely encourage any ambitious vet that's watching this, listening to this, wherever you guys are at, get connected with this organization if you haven't already, and follow this project. I mean, this project is building a lot of anticipation. I mean, you heard Barry even explain himself that they've had 77 people that they were just like kind of test marketed and were just like, yeah, I would love to get a part of this, right? So be a part of something that, is actually making an impact. One thing I learned very quickly when I got out of the uniform is start surrounding myself with people that were focused on something bigger, not their current circumstances, their problems, their complaints and stuff like that. And you'll always be in great shape. So, Barry, I just want to acknowledge you, brother, for coming onto the show. I mean, thank you for everything you've been able to do since the beginning of, vet training coaching's existence, helping grow our audience. And just as you generously go out and serve the veteran community on top of being a father, being a full-time, employee and stuff like that in the corporate world, brother, you are absolutely amazing. And thank you for joining the Ambitious Vet Show.
It's an honor and a privilege, brother. I appreciate who you are and what you're doing.
Well, there you have it, Ambitious Vet, episode number 50 of the Ambitious Vet Show with Barry Engelhardt. Again, if you're not already inside the Ambitious Vet Tribe with over 563, now is the best time to be a part of it. I don't want you to fall behind on this huge Ambitious Vet March to 1,000, where you can win an opportunity to attend the next Military Influencer Conference, along with some other veteran-owned prizes that are worth over $450 at this point. And this upcoming Friday, I'm going to announce another prize. It's going to take the giveaway over $500, guys. I want you guys inside that tribe, and I want you guys over there networking, sharing, being completely transparent so you can narrow that gap in your next mission, guys. If you haven't already, subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. Feedback is what allows anything to improve in life, and we want to improve right beside you. Okay. Lastly, we know you're warrior made, but to become passion driven, utilize just one golden grenade you heard today, and you will find your life being more meaningful, impactful, and actually people are going to be coming over and telling you, hey, I want to hear more. Guys, let's go get it.